Hello, folks, and welcome to Spectrum Days, the fantastic podcast run by people who know everything about the gaming industry and every single fact that there is out there. We've got them all here. We've corralled them all like the fantastic electric sheep from some amazing film, and we're going to disperse our knowledge to you now. Or maybe this is a podcast where some old codgers talk about the past, mainly get things wrong, fumble around in the darkness that is the retro world, and come up with something interesting. What is today's topic, Chris? Hello, Chris.
Hello, Phil. Today's topic is, are games too long nowadays? Is there just too much? Do they just last too long?
And the answer is yes. Join us next week. We'll be finding out what linament's good for our knees and why is petrol too expensive. Thank you for listening.
Does that work for a YouTube short?
I think that does. Yeah, that constitutes short. Well, that's an example, children, of what short is. It feels like Sesame Street now. That was short. Now show us long, Chris. I'm worried about telling you to show us what long is.
Right.
Yeah,
so
games.
Are games, do they last too much time now? Do they take too long to complete? What do you think?
Here's a good example. I looked this up on the internet. So I'm sure these facts are absolutely correct. So anyone commenting below that we've somehow got it wrong, you're wrong. Manic Miner on the good old ZX Spectrum, which are this very podcast is named after, 23 minutes to complete that sort of average time to complete Manic Miner. But that obviously is if you can complete it. That does not mean how long a play session averagely takes to play Manic Miner. You're probably there for hours.
I've still never finished it. I'm 49. 49 years it takes to play Manic Miner.
Yeah, this is the thing. It does really depend how you look at these figures. Pac-Man, the arcade Pac-Man, which I'm sure we all remember from back in the blimey, was it early 80s? I can't remember when the original Pac-Man came out. Anyway, 20 minutes is apparently a sort of reasonably fast time to complete it.
If you think about it, most of your favourite TV shows, comedy ones, they're about 23 minutes.
Well, if you sort of exclude what they put in for adverts, most TV series is, adverts.
Don't you?
Well, they most you say that a series, an average series episode is half an hour. Well, they're not. They're usually between 24 and 27 minutes to take account of them being sold into areas where adverts are produced. So a lot of television programs aren't actually half an hour. See, we're factual here on this podcast.
Go on, give us some more facts. Regale us with more facts.
More facts. The original Zelda, if on the NES, the original Zelda on the NES, if you play it to sort of completionist level, with heavy quotes, it's about 10 hours. So, I mean, that's a big leap, and that would have come out not too long after things like Manic Miner, again, at sort of mid-80s, was it, Zelda? Something like that. So 10 hours.
Have you included the 15 minutes of messing around with the Erasmus, the whatever it's called, on the tape to actually load Manic Miner?
No. No, none of these include loading times. No.
So add some loading time, getting the TV set up and everything for Manic Miner. You're talking 40 minutes.
But I mean, as we get older, things take too long. In general, everything takes too long. Well, some things don't take as long, but some things just take too long.
Well, the thing is, we also had lots of spare time then, because you're talking Manic Miner when we were, I think we were about 10,
9 or 10
when it came out. Yeah. So we had all the time in the world. Well, we had all the time before your dad got home at 6 o'clock to sit down and watch the news.
Bloody news.
6 o'clock news. He'd be in, get his dinner on the table, dinner ready, go and watch the news. You'd have to unplug the Spectrum.
Yeah.
Pack it all away neatly in the box.
In its box.
Yeah. Unless you were lucky and you had a spare room and it was connected to a black and white TV.
It was pointless trying to play snooker on a black and white.
It's been done. It's been done. But yeah, so we
So
had all the time in the world, and the games were incredibly short. And now we're old and we don't have any time. The games are incredibly long.
look, if you compare the original Zelda, which I say is about 10 hours. If you do everything, all the sort of side questy bits, do everything in it, 10 hours. Tears
Yeah,
of the Kingdom, if you do the equivalent, so the new one on the Switch,
yeah.
Tears of the Kingdom, completionist. So if you get all the seeds from the plants and do
Mm.
everything, 236 hours.
Get lost.
236 hours
Wow.
if you do everything.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean that's a huge difference, isn't it? I mean that's when a game sort of not pick up and play. Yet you can just pick up and play and do a 10-minute session of the Zelda games on the Switch.
I
That's
don't
what's weird. That's what I can't sort of get my head around, that you can just pick up a game like that
really.
and play it for a few minutes. Yeah, I mean,
I don't.
I did with the first one. I haven't played Tears of the Kingdom yet. I have got the other one, the original one, on the
I
Switch,
don't
and I
mess.
found that I played that in fairly short bursts.
I don't mess
But
with
that's
the
an
with
impressive
Zelda
thing to be able
games.
to do, you know. And people are doing
That's
that with GTA 6 or no GTA 5. So GTA 6 is probably soon to be upon us. God knows how big that's going to be.
mm,
But GTA 5, the main story is 31 hours.
right.
But the main plus the side quests is 50 hours. But then you compare that to Tears of the Kingdom's 236 hours. You
Do
start
you
to
know?
think, well, what is it you're doing
I
for
mean, this is clearly.
236 hours?
I mean, this is clearly something that's important to people because there is a web page called howlongtobeat.com,
Yeah,
which has this kind of information on it, right? So I had a look
yeah,
in there. I mean, Cyberpunk 2077, main story 24 and a half hours, main and extra 60 and a half, and completionist 103. Um,
103, right.
yeah, I mean, the big game of the moment as well, Starfield, 21 hours, main story, 66 main plus extra, and then completionist, 146. But how much did you say the Zelda was again? 200 something.
Tears of the Kingdom to completion is 236 hours.
That's crazy. So,
It's
again, of
massive.
course, as always, I mean, we are joking around, but of course, it's just a different time in our lives, right? We're not a
Yeah.
14-year-old or whatever who's got all weekend to do it, and all when they get home from school, got a few hours, and when they're
Mm.
meant to be doing homework, they can play it. And you're right. Maybe the Zelda, you've got a Switch as well. You can, so you're carrying that around. You can. Maybe even on the bus, or whatever, or
Well,
um,
you can
and
sneak in a few minutes every now and again on it. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
yeah, and it quickly, I guess you can resume play pretty quick, right? But it just,
yeah,
I mean, so it's value for money, right? I mean, we've looked at sometimes that some of these games back on the Spectrum were £10 or whatever, and with
yeah.
inflation, it's almost the same as buying a 60. I can't remember what the
30,
inflation was, but
30
it's
odd
almost
quid or
seven.
something. Yeah,
Yeah, so you're getting more money. You're getting a lot of value, but then some of it is kind of like it's just it was a bit meaningless, right? I mean, completionist, like you've got to go around. It's not fun. Is it really fun playing for 200 hours, collecting
well,
every single thing?
I bet a lot of that in Tears of the Kingdom is like I joked about the seeds. I think in the first one it was the Korok seeds, which is finding these little characters that are sort of made up of leaves, and they give you a
Yeah.
seed or something, and they're hidden. They are just a hidden. It's a fetch quest. They are just hidden items here, there, and everywhere, and you collect all the seeds or whatever.
So
Yeah,
the trouble is it's hijacking our brains, right? Our brains, which were made to, hunter gatherer, right? So this kind of the idea of why are some of these mechanics of where you're just searching for something and collecting, and and also why gambling works. Part of our brain, some of us were more more kind of like predestined to be searching for things. If you're fishing, even fishing's a great example, really. Fishing, throwing the line in, maybe you catch something, but maybe you've got to throw the line in 50 times before you catch something, and then when you do, boom, you've got the
Fish.
that urge. Well, you got the fish, but then the dopamine hit has been, is there, so you want to do it again, and you keep going again.
Yeah.
So a lot of these games, these elements when there's kind of addictiveness in trying to complete something, we are hijacking our brain the way that people's brains work, and it's a bit. I mean, whilst it's fun, it's good. But I hope there's not many people spending 200 hours on a game like that, right?
Well, this is the thing. But I mean, these figures, I assume that Zelda Tears of the Kingdom completion is 230. Well, this is it. Is that based on someone knowing exactly how to do everything, where to go? Is how have they come up with that 236 hours? I mean, if you look actually at someone who has completed everything within Tears of the Kingdom, I would have thought perhaps it's probably going to go beyond that time, because they might spend hours doing one task that takes someone else 10 minutes.
I don't know.
Do you know what I mean? I wonder. It'd be interesting. Can anyone let us know in the comments? I mean, has someone played that and completed it, but done it in less or more time than that?
I don't know.
I mean, the other example here that I got is that NES, the original NES, the original Super Mario Brothers. That's an average of 1 to 2 hours to complete that. So that is there's a big variation. 1 to 2 hours for somebody to go from start to finish. But the record is like 5 minutes. But that obviously will be using warp pipes and, things. There are various things within that original NES Mario that you can do to chop off huge amounts of time. But if an average play is between 1 and 2 hours, but that's a game that you can put on and play time and time again. If you complete Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, and you are up there with time-wise of 236 hours, are you going to put that on and play that again?
Not
compared
me.
to no, I wouldn't. I don't think I would. But are you gonna go and have a go? I'll have a game of Mario.
I get bored. I get bored with games lasting that long.
Yeah.
I presume if you count up all the hours I've played of FIFA and Pro Evolution Soccer, I've played those probably longer than anything else, and I still play them. But then that's
probably thousands of hours if you add that up, isn't it?
Probably. But I was thinking, I was looking at my Steam account to see the 2016 version of Doom. I think I played that about 20 hours, 22.8 hours. And I wonder if that also counts that I'm rubbish at playing it. So I probably only just completed it in what it says online, like I think 11 hours to be able to complete Doom. Doom is about 11 and a half hours in length, it says. 27 hours to obtain 100% completion.
Original PC Doom.
Yeah, well, no, not the original. It's the 2016 Doom.
Oh, sorry.
It's called Doom. Right. I've never finished Doom Eternal, but I've completed that version of Doom, and that was fun. And the one that does stick in my mind, because maybe I was playing more console games in those when Call of Duty Modern Warfare came out.
Yeah.
And that was only 6 hours. And I know it's pretty much on rails, but it was like watching the best action film.
Yeah.
It was like being part of like an action film, and 6 hours was just right. Everything.
Enough.
I loved it. Everything was good. It was, and that whole thing of always leave them wanting more kind of thing, right? And when you watch a good series or each episode. And I really enjoyed it, but I personally just don't have much interest in playing games for 100 hours and collecting. I'm not personally am not a completionist. I'm not someone who wants to do all that.
I've never done that where you collect every coin or every badge that you get from. I've never really done that. The only thing I've come, I would say, close to doing that would have been on Super Mario World on the Super Nintendo, where there was a lot of hidden worlds. There was 96 worlds in total, and I did do that. I think that's about the only time I've ever, in inverted commas, completed a game. I've plenty of games I've got to the end of, defeated the ender level baddie, or whatever you want to call it. But to do every level, to find every sort of thing, off the top of my head, I think that's about the only game I can think of where I've done that, But then I had the time. It was 1993 or 1992, whenever it was. I had the time to do it. I mean, it's, again, saying about Mario, that original Mario, 1 to 2 hours average playtime. Super Mario 3, which is sort of really quite a big leap from the original, but still on the NES, was 5 to 6 hours average.
Right.
So it's still not what you'd call long, but was a big jump from 1 to 2 hours to 5 to 6 hours. And then the one that's coming out Friday, we're recording this, I think, as of Wednesday. As of Friday, I expect you're already all playing it, will be Mario Wonder on the Switch. And apparently that's about 10 hours.
Yeah.
Which isn't a massive jump from going from the NES Mario 3, which came out in the 80s, to Mario Wonder. And I remember seeing an interview with Shigeru Miyamoto, the guy who does the original Mario stuff and is still very big at Nintendo. He said Nintendo's philosophy, this is speaking at the time, this was a long time ago, was that they don't make long games, which of course they obviously do, because they've just made blooming Tears of the Kingdom with a 236-hour completionist time. But that isn't their ethos to make games that are long. Because if you look at any other format, you look at the PlayStation, you look at the Xbox, you're looking at games like GTA 5, you're looking at Skyrim. I mean, Skyrim, Elder Scrolls, main plus extras, 110 hours. GTA 5, already mentioned, main and side quest, 50 hours. Assassin's Creed Valhalla, 90 hours.
Well, but those are kind of sandbox type games where that's not really new. It's not like there's new content or not many even new situations. It's more or less the kind of like, oh, we've already made this big open world. Next mission, go from point X to from point A to point B, go and get something, bring it back, do it again. And you're just doing those same kind of missions, right? So they're just padding it. They're padding it out. And that's why, again, like I said, Call of Duty, Modern Warfare, it was just like going through an amazing action film. And I personally don't need all the padding out of running around from A to B. Plus, I get lost in all those kind of games, even with the maps.
No, exactly.
Even with the maps on the screen.
I don't even know. I was going to say with the Zelda, those two, we got these two new, modern Zeldas, what we call modern Zeldas now on the Switch. I only got the first one, but it's too big. I mean, this is our question. This is what, as you can see from the title of this video and on our podcast, with our YouTube channel and various podcasts where you can be listening or watching us. Are they too long? And for me, that Zelda is too long. I really enjoyed my time with it. Don't get me wrong. I think it's amazing. And I'm very pleased for Nintendo that they're now making those sorts of games, because people obviously want to play those, Skyrim type, Assassin's Creed type, long games, or The Witcher 3. I don't know how long that one is, but I'm guessing that's fairly long title as well. That's great. And Nintendo, as yet again, have managed to show everyone how to do it. Now everyone's trying to copy Nintendo. It's like the snake eating itself, which I find hilarious. That sort of Nintendo for years, and we don't do the long games, and then they bring out probably two of the highest rated sandbox, long-winded adventure type games that we've seen in years.
I suppose, but do you need to complete them for them to be fun?
No, I enjoyed my time with that original Zelda on the Switch. Breath of the Wild, that's the one. I keep trying to think of what the name is. Breath of the Wild. I really enjoyed my time with it. I would love to think that I would go back to it and finish it, but I probably won't.
Yeah.
I probably won't. I'd like to think that, at the moment, I'm going through the Assassin's Creed games. As we've mentioned, if you're a common person who regularly watches our podcast, you'll know I just got PlayStation 3. I keep mentioning it every time. And I've got all the sort of the original, Assassin's Creed 1, 2, and 3, or whatever it is, on there. And I'm playing Assassin's Creed 1 at the moment. I may find at the end of Assassin's Creed 1, I then go, well, that's enough. And I don't even bother to moving on to number 2. Do you know what I mean? But the chances of me getting around to playing Assassin's Creed Valhalla and playing that for 90 hours to complete it is really, really, really unlikely. That's staggeringly unlikely. But yet, at the same time, Chris, am I going to put in the time and effort it would take to complete Pac-Man, which only takes 25 minutes to complete?
No.
Because you'd have to spend 60 hours getting good enough at it to complete it in 25 minutes.
Yeah. I mean, that's a different way of looking at it, right? Most of the modern games, there is a kind of moment where you can complete them, right? I guess if you can, even if you're stuck, you can look for online help, or the game normally nudges you in the way. Whilst as you're saying, Pac-Man is more about the skill, and you do have to put the hours in. So the 26 minutes or whatever it was to complete Pac-Man is not real at all. So
that's deep. It's not real, man.
Time,
you weren't really there, man. It's like being in Vietnam. Playing
Time
Pac-Man
isn't
is
real.
like being in Vietnam. You weren't there, man.
Time is not real.
Lunchtime doubly so. Yeah.
But like I've been one of the latest games I bought was Aliens Dark Descent, and I'm looking at Steam, and I've played it for 99 minutes,
right?
Which an hour and a half, almost. As long as a film used to be.
Yeah.
Even films are too long nowadays as well.
Oh God.
That's another subject. Is it because we're just old and we fall asleep in all these things? Is it because we just don't have enough time, or is it because we've lost our what was it? Lost our concentration span.
Well, at the end of our RoboCop, if you haven't seen our RoboCop review, our first film review, we do plan on doing more. We enjoyed doing that. Interestingly, the video podcast is an hour long. We talked quite a long time about RoboCop, but we
almost as long as the film.
Almost as long as the film. But we both said how much it didn't outstay its welcome.
Yeah.
And it's about an hour and 28 minutes or something. It's one of those classic 80s, 90s, hour and a half. Bang, it's over, done.
Yeah.
Even the director's cut was only by another 10 minutes or something that we found. It didn't add half an hour or anything to it. So it wasn't even close to 2 hours. It was an hour and a half film, and it was enough.
Well, yeah, like I said, so with the Aliens game, there's just so many cutscenes and so much tutorial. Which, if you have listened to any other episodes, well, the things like the Spectrum games, there were never any tutorials. Now, Aliens Dark Descent, I think the first hour is tutorial. You're learning how to play the game, really. And I think even the first missions are still showing you things or repeating some of the mechanics, how to play the game. Yeah. And I really want to get back. I want to get to play it, but it's like, I mean, I suppose there'll be people screaming at us, listening and saying, but there's so many different games, you get to choose. You don't have to buy the latest Zelda. There's probably some indie game on Steam that's got, direct into the action, and you can play it and have fun with it for a few hours, and that's that. I mean, we are only concentrating on maybe the big titles where they do pad it all out, because they're also charging you £70 or £60, whatever it is. Some people are looking at these kind of things. Well, am I getting value for my money? So then the teams are like, well, okay, you've already made the art. You've already made this artwork. You've already made this mechanic. You've already made this gameplay. Reuse them as many times as possible, because that's cheaper. Then it's just, the design, level design, and making sure it all works with the testing. It still costs money. Yeah. But if you're reusing assets and mechanics and things you've already got going, then it's a cheaper way of padding it out. You don't necessarily need to make. There's no new features or whatever, right? If it was a game of new stuff for 20 hours, then that's that's where it's interesting. Like I say, the like Modern Warfare again, it felt like there wasn't much being repeated. It was just all new scenarios, new. That's only why it only lasted 6 hours, but there were 6 fun hours. I felt like I get by the padding out.
No, well, yeah, I agree. I mean, it's funny to give a good example of a different type of game. The other one that I looked up in my notes here was Animal Crossing, because I thought, well, of course, a lot of what we're looking at time-wise, of course, and I hope people have probably mentioned this in the comments below, of course, there are games that are sort of technically infinite, that just go on and on and on. But I mean, even Animal Crossing, there is you go through all the seasons and you go through all the experiences that are in Animal Crossing. Well, apparently New Horizons, our Animal Crossing New Horizons, is 360 plus hours to see everything that's in it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a mind-numbing amount. I mean, those are real life suckers. I don't know if you've ever played Animal Crossing. Have you ever?
No. I
mean, they're worth looking at to see how well they're designed in getting you to pour all your life into play. They're Tamagotchi sort of made real. You are talking about these living, breathing things where you've got to maintain. You know, you miss going there for a day and you find your city's got trash in it, or the plants need weeding, or this world carries on without you being in it. And when you go back, oh no, I've got to do all this stuff.
Yeah, but those are like the habit forming loops, which is just touched on before, and those exist even in mobile games, right? So there's a lot of mobile games on your phone where you think, oh, that's just going to be short game sessions, but they all add up. I mean, Clash of Clans back in its heyday was the same kind of thing. And then you've also got push notifications, which will get you back in again. So they have appointment mechanics and something like that, because you're generating resources which you need then to improve your town, and so that you can attack other people and you can progress in the game. So that will be like, you set off construction of a new building, or I need to collect the oil. It's going to take 9 hours, and then you'll get alerted that that's back, so that'll bring you back in. So they're all kind of short sessions, but you're then playing for a long time, so then money, time sinks. I mean, what else would we be using that time for? I mean, if you're playing a game and you're enjoying it, probably is that better than just consuming social media, or what else? Maybe we were playing Daley Thompson's Decathlon for 20 minutes and then going outside and playing.
You have to put your arm in a bucket of ice. You have to sort your arm out after
repairing the toy stick. I'm in no way am I criticizing anyone who kind of wants to play all these hours on their games. And
it's a fatuous question, Chris, isn't it? Are games too long? Well, they're as long as they need to be, and there's a variety of games. I mean, if all games, if everything that was coming out now were your Skyrims, your Witchers, your Zeldas, if it was all that and companies were only concentrating on making those sorts of games, then yes, I think it would be very difficult for people of our age group, particularly, who don't want to spend that amount of time playing a game. But that just isn't the case. As I say, the new games that this week, very weird. It's all a bit 90s. You got a brand new 2D Sonic game out and a brand new 2D Mario game out the same blooming week. Well, neither of those games are going to be 300, 200, 300 hour games. They're very much.
The Sonic isn't getting very good reviews, right?
You've seen mixed. I've seen some people say they like it and enjoy it, and it's a 2D Sonic, like they used to be, kind of thing. And I've seen it mixed. I don't know. I played it. Can't really.
It's funny because talking about, I feel like it's good to get conclusion and finish a game. So it feels like a complete experience from the beginning to end, and you do get to see an end. So there's a conclusion. But the truth is, I've barely finished many games. I get bored of them too quickly. I mean, I never even finished Saboteur when back on the Spectrum when we had
when we reviewed it.
Yeah, when we reviewed it, I didn't complete it. I didn't complete it when I was a kid, when I had all the time in the world. I just get
Even Clive Townsend messaged you to say what an idiot you were.
I've got a short attention span. That's the problem. I've got, oh no. Short.
Well, to cut this podcast short, no games aren't too long, but they can be.
Our podcasts
are too long. Let us know in the comments, folks, if you think our podcasts are too long.
No, don't ask them that.
I expect they'll be clamouring for more. We want them to last 2 hours. In fact, this one does actually last an hour. I know we've only been talking for half an hour. There's now going to be half an hour of silence, so you can see what it would be like to.
Just put it on loop. We should just
if you
put
want
this
to be
episode on loop and release it for 4 hours.
the completionist level of Spectrum Days is 4 hours. If you want to come from a real fan, you got to listen to this 4 times. Yeah, so there we are, folks. Are games too long? Well, we'll leave that one up to you. Me and Chris think they are, because we can't be bothered to play for more than 5 minutes, which means we'll never complete Pac-Man. We'll never complete Manic Miner. And and anyway, talking to Mario Wonder, that is coming out Friday. Hope you're all looking forward to that. I certainly am. I'm probably going to do a reaction video to that. I will do my first impressions and perhaps put some footage on the screen of me playing it, probably very, very badly, and probably only for 5 minutes, because that's how much my patience lasts. So there we are, Chris. Anything else to add before we disappear yet again?
Sorry, what were you talking about? I lost. I didn't.
My outro was too long. Thanks for watching, everybody, and listening. Do like and subscribe and comment below, and we'll see you again soon. Bye, Chris.
Bye. Bye.